Hello everyone, so welcome to Invest. We'll talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's items only, the investment I'm going to talk today will be Ethereum ETH. It's my second posting of today. With respect to recording time of 2:59 p.m. on Eastern Time, Ethereum contract $4,357, about 6.57% so far. With respect to overall crypto market, you could see clearly it's a majority green, right? With Shiba Inu seems like it's still selling off, down about 3.20%, microly driven by its own specific catalysts. While at the same time, on the crypto market, what's really driving the surge that we're seeing right now is it's an interesting macro activity that we're seeing among investors. Is that firstly, there's a sector rotation that's going on today among the equity side. We're seeing some sell-off across the board, along the line with respect to the high growth stocks that has been surging for like the last, I would say, 1 year so far. These are like the darling stocks of the world, like DraftKings, like Neo, like Fisker, Coinbase, Tesla, all of these high growth super names. It seems like investors are slowly fleeing into the more of a stable, strong fundamental, large cap stocks, which are the FANG stocks, if you may, right? So you see that today, despite the overall sell-off on the technology sector, there's a little bit more severe downward pressure onto the smaller stocks, right? But smaller cap but high growth stocks, right? And with that affectation, because it seems like the sentiment today was the safe haven type of affectation, equity is having that anti-correlation effect to the crypto market, right? And you could see prominently because of the fact that based on just media affectation, right, crypto assets is kind of characterized as some sort of a safe haven instrument for investors. So as investors are fleeing into more of the safe haven equity, like again the FANG stocks, they're also simultaneously fleeing to the crypto assets, which is also as a form of safe haven instrument as well. So with respect to the current level, let's look at the news front. I would say collectively, I would say it's been relatively active today on the news front. There are a couple of news talks about, like first one on Bazinga about 3 hours ago, talk about anonymous crypto wallet moves $61 million worth of Ethereum. So that's the first news. And then another news that we kind of talked about recently is with respect to Decrypt 3 hours ago, talk about wearable ads, messengers features to Ethereum NFT marketplace. So it seems like they're adding some NFT commercialization or some sort of an infrastructure into their messenger. And then another one that talks about on Bazinga about 4 hours ago talks about with respect to this CryptoPunk NFT just sold for $620,000. And it seems like it's another comparable image that we have seen or talked about yesterday. But this picture is like a brown background with this woman or man, I think is a woman with orange hair. And she's like looking sideways, basically. So I'm not sure why someone would pay this much for something like this, but to each his own. Art is art, like I keep saying, right? And then the next one's on Bazinga about 13 minutes ago, talk about Odell Beckham Jr., which is the one of the football players in the NFL, one of the superstars. He has announced that he'll be paid in Bitcoin. Seems like there's more celebrity adoptions, I guess, with respect to their proposition or their preference towards crypto assets. And then the next one's on Bazinga about 30 minutes ago, talk about Pokemon Go, which I played for a little bit. The creator Niantic launches a Bitcoin hunting AR game. Wow, quite interesting. So it seems like they are implementing some sort of a Pokemon Go slash virtual Bitcoin hunting AR game, like the Pokemon Go that we played before. I'm actually quite interested about this. I'm gonna probably look into maybe downloading this app if it's available yet. But it's quite interesting. Seems like you could like go outside, into the regular world, obviously, and using their augmented reality platform, similar to like Pokemon Go, obviously, you could hunt Bitcoin. So it's kind of like playing Pokemon, but instead of Pokemon, you'd be hunting Bitcoin, which is quite interesting. Not sure how much Bitcoin you could be hunting, maybe probably like a really small fraction of it, right? And then the next one's on Bitcoin is about 1 hour ago. Talk about Bitcoin bearish signal. Whales now make up for 91% of the exchange deposit. That's a relatively alarming percentage, right? Seems like 91% of the accounts holding right now that are holding Bitcoin are mainly whales, right? So we are seeing a relatively sizable market imbalance right now. 91% of it. So, it's really up to the mercy of the whales if they want to be selling or they don't want to be selling. So quite dangerous, I would say, in terms of the current setup, if that's the ratio that they are illustrating at the moment. The next one is I see that there are like a couple more news like on The Verge, on Decrypt, on Bazinga as well. All talk about the co-creator, Pokemon Go creator Niantic Lab to launch the Bitcoin hunting AR game. So I actually look forward to seeing this cultivation. I think this could be quite interesting. And then the next one is seems like there's in addition to AMC, which they have announced that they are going to be accepting Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Ethereum as a form of payment. Seems like in the UK-based multiplex cinema chain called Regal Cinema, they are also accepting Bitcoin and Dogecoin and some other form of payment. I think they even say Cardano as well, which is quite interesting. This is the first time hearing this. So more positive news across the media front, specifically on crypto, despite the sector rotation that was also driving this. So it's a double whammy effect that we're seeing across the market right now. And that's pretty much it on the positive news. I think it's all positive, all great news. I would say today is a little bit more colorful as well. But in terms of substance, I don't know how substantive we are, but it is colorful, definitely. So respect to current level, Ethereum's almost up about 7% right now at the 4,362. Seems like we're reversing at the moment. We're at the 51 out of 70. We are curving up, so there's some sign of revival, like I said, right? But is this sustainable? That's something that's really, we don't know, right? As we go up to the next level, we'll go up to the 4,422, which is the next resistance level that we might bounce off from. But right now we're still in the head and shoulder pattern, so nothing is really showing or saying anything about the cup and handle yet. But ultimately, we're in the mercies of the whales, so we'll see how that goes. But today's positive pressure is really coming from the sector rotation, which anti-correlates, but also with respect to the positive news we've been hearing so far, right? So again, the dip was basically at the 3,900-ish, right? Like that I keep saying before. But I think the bearish momentum is still in play. But ultimately, the pattern is not confirmatory, so we don't know what's the shakeout going forward yet. So ultimately, we are not in the business of predicting the future, right? We are observing the pattern. We look at the risk management levels, and I think the logical level again is still the 3,850. 3,470, right? So I'll just wait until we cool back down to these levels as we deplete to RSI below 35 from here. Bitcoin right now is still bearish. We are at the 42, so we up a little bit slightly compared to the days like before when we're at the 36. So technically, again, right, with respect to that level when we're at the 55, that was the dip, right? And the real dip that I think ideally for me to feel incentivized to incur risk would be the 52 to the 48 from here. With respect to Dogecoin, up about 2.81% so far. Right now 40 out of 70, so Dogecoin is not a terrible buy right now. Again, the 23 to 20 cents or 1950 is still the level I would incur risk around Dogecoin. Cardano right now 170 is the dip, so I think right now is not a terrible level to incur some risk right now. So I think the dip right now is it, Cardano. But again, right, have the mental preparation. If we break 170, we will go to the 145. But I don't think that's going to happen because we're relatively oversold right now. So Cardano's actually a buy right now, in my opinion. Solana's up about 4% right now, so 52 out of 70. Ideally, wait for it to cool down because this is not the best setup right now. It seems like we're head and shoulder, head, shoulder, right? So that means sell-off is coming. 133 to 113 is still the dip. XRP is still kind of struggling with the 42 out of 70, so 101 to 105 is still the dip. So right now with the upper echelon of the frame of buying opportunity, so I think 101 or 10, right now it's not terrible. Let's just put it that way. We are like an okay level, but not the best, like I keep saying, right? So 105 to 101 is still the dip. Polkadot with up about 5% right now, so as we cool back down, right, with the 44 out of 70, so ideally coming back to the 33 to the 25 is still the dip, right? I think we will get there, knowing the fact that we are forming kind of like a head and shoulder as well. Head, shoulders. Algorand right now, it's at the 46 out of 70, so ideally buy it somewhere around like the 165 to 150 from here. Shiba Inu again, right, at the 2750 to the 900 from here. That would be the frame of reference I would be buying it. So with respect to risk management level, these are levels I've identified for you guys, right, just to simplify things a little bit. Again, these are my conservatism speaking, right? It's for my own personal judgment as only. It's not for everybody. You could technically buy now and hold for a long term and wait for it to appreciate even further from here, right? We only care about the long-term vision. So for me, I'm just being meticulous in terms of how I want to risk manage myself because I do have a relatively large holding for these respective coins already. So that's just my conservatism. It's not for everybody. Everybody have different risk tolerance, and I'm not always correct as well, right? But hopefully this is helpful in terms of giving you some clarity into the breakdown that we've talked about in the previous technical analysis so far, right? Definitely volatile couple of days, right? Definitely some safe haven type of activities or behavior going on among investors right now. So I think on the equity side, there are some opportunistic equity that are good for grab today. And I know some of you guys are talking about I should be talking more about equity as well. But I'll see how I can implement that a little bit into our, work that we talk about every single day, right? I also think about maybe formalizing some sort of a Patreon, supply in front of my face, or some sort of like a Patreon or some type of subscription service for you guys that you guys been requesting that will give you the layout of what's the buying zone, what should we be the dollar cost averaging at, how do we risk manage for these respective equity or crypto assets going forward. And I'll be updating them on a daily basis twice a day, right, to make sure that you guys are capturing the latest and greatest, right? So that's still in work, right? But really appreciate you for your drop by, and feel free to give me a shout if you have any specific questions. And stay tuned for the next video coming up. Take care.